My parents had a carphone in the late 80s, early 90s. How did it get signal out on the highway with such early cell tower infrastructure? Other than in bigger cities, along highways was the first part of the cell tower network built out, and old analog phones had to put out much stronger signals to reach towers that were further apart. Early car phones worked on a pre-cellular mobile phone system, often with lower coverage and higher power transmitters. They weren't as widespread as today's cell towers, but covered major highways and urban areas. Think of it as the bulky ancestors of our sleek smartphones. I had an old bag phone, remote antenna that I put on the roof of the truck, which made for better reception. A full 5 watts of transmit power because the antenna was not pressed against your skull. Coverage was sparse out in the western US. I remember driving around looking for a decent signal. One spot I remember was up next to a dumpster. I figured the metal somehow reflected the signal. Hey, it worked! As far as I can understand, at least some of those early implementations, such as ARP, used frequency bands around the 100-200 MHz range, which were great for long-range coverage, and had transmitting radios powered around 1-5 watts, which is a lot compared to mobile modern phones. This allowed for wide coverage, but there was no privacy in communications, and at least some systems did not have a seamless handoff between different radio towers. With only 100 channels in a radius of dozens of kilometers, capacity was also limited. I remember thinking it was hilarious seeing some dude's horn going off as a ringtone, then him running to the car like it was a crying baby. I looked into it once. They had shitty cell towers that ran on radio, but coverage wasn't really the problem. There was mobile phone technology, it's just that you needed a massive aerial and battery, so installing it in the car made sense. Yep, those old car phones were basically brick-sized walkie-talkies. Had one in our old Chevy, could call mom from halfway across the state. There was an episode of Andy Griffith where Goober was all excited talking on a car phone. That's all I remember about the episode. I don't know which one. I was a kid. I just remember him talking on a car phone. 1980s car phone were not cell phones and did not use a cellular network. In terms of power, both the phones and the transceivers the phone talked to were much higher power, think like highway patrol radios. These were cell phones with big honkin' analog radios. Here is an article: https://electronics.howstuffworks.com cellphone 4.htm https://electronics.howstuffworks.com cellphone 4.htm. Are you Bruce Wayne? Was this thing using radio? Guess what a cell phone tower uses. It's all just EM, baby. My dad had an auto telephone in the 80s. It had a 35-watt transmitter. A modern cell phone operates at 0.6 watts, usually with a max of 2 watts. A big antenna plus lots of power meant there needed to be a lot less towers.